Dave. How are you? Good evening to you.
Hey, good evening. It's actually morning for me, Nicolette, but it's
Oh, it's morning.
yes,
Apologies. Yes. Good morning to you, Dave. How are you?
yes. I am fantastic. It's extra early. I even skipped breakfast. I got in my office extra early just to be with you. So I'm so glad that we could connect like this.
I am truly honored. Thank you for saying yes to be interviewed today. I'd like to introduce myself formally. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, I would like to read a bit of an introduction to our listeners today, and then we can get right into our conversation, if that's
All
okay with
right,
you.
sure.
All right. Hello, everyone. We have Gulas here with us. Dave attended the University of Michigan-Dearborn prior to his 20 plus year of sales executive career within the medical and pharmaceutical industries. He has since co-founded EZDC 3PL, a third-party logistics firm, and he hosts, fellow podcaster, the Beyond Fulfillment podcast, a weekly YouTube interview focused on entrepreneurial journeys. Now, EZDC 3PL launched in 2022, is headquartered in Kentucky with an additional location in Maryland. They provide warehousing, fulfillment, and transportation services to manufacturers and e-commerce companies reliably and affordably. Known for personal service, fast response time, and flexibility, EZDC takes the headache out of fulfillment and helps customers grow as a true extension of their business. Now, you can all visit them at EZDC 3PL, but right now, right here, let's hear it for Dave Gulas.
Thank you,
Yay!
thank you so much for that intro, Nicolette.
No, thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, Dave, before we get right into the nitty-gritty of things, I'd like to take our listeners a trip down memory lane. Can you first share with us what was it like growing up as a Dave Gulas?
Oh, boy, growing up. So I'm 45 years old. So when I grew up, the world was very, very different. Yeah, there was no internet, there was no smartphones, there was no social media. But yeah, I grew up with both parents and a brother in a small town just outside Detroit, Michigan, and went to school, and was always hardworking, ambitious. I was working outside the home very early, about 13 years old, in restaurants and whatnot. Yeah, eventually I got into sales, and I discovered, I guess, through just trying a bunch of different stuff that was a passion of mine. It was something I was really good at, and virtually my whole adult life I've been in sales, and I still am today. Now I get to sell something I help create, which is that's what it was like, I guess, in a nutshell.
So can you share with us what is your backstory? Why EPL? Because you're also a podcast host, and you were in medical and pharmaceutical industry. So can you share with us more about that?
Yeah. So I was in the pharma industry for quite a while, almost 20 years, and I was at an executive level with a company, and that company ended up going under. And at the time, I was figuring out what I was going to do next. And a good friend of mine that was at like a similar type of company, like a friendly competitor, we were looking at doing something together. And we knew several people at the time that were having issues with their 3PL. Like, they were e-commerce brands and they had a 3PL, and they were complaining about not getting good service, orders not shipping on time, and just frustrations really with the level of service. And with our background in the pharma industry, it's in a niche of the market where you're dealing with small business owners, and it requires a very high touch, high level of customer service because everything's urgent, everything's going overnight. You're dealing with small business owners and things go wrong all the time. So when we saw that, we both, through conversations, realized that our background could really be a great fit for that type of market. And we saw a lot of long-term opportunity within e-commerce, and he had additional warehouse space in Kentucky that he wasn't using. We decided to start a 3PL and offer those services to e-commerce brands. So we put it together quickly and got started. Yeah, little over 2 years later, here we are, and steadily growing. Yeah, we've got about 30 brands or so that we service. Just continuing to learn, grow, get better, keep growing the company. And then along the way too, I started, that's a whole other story as far as how I started the podcast. I don't know if you want to go into that now or.
Well, yeah, please.
Yeah. So when we started too, just to give you a sense, the sales cycle and the type of sale within the 3PL world is very different from pharma, to where what I was used to in the pharma industry was there's a section of customers that you would service, and there's a bunch of companies competing for the same business, but it was like B2B where you would call, establish a relationship, and you would sell like that. Where when I got started with a 3PL, it was completely different. And I realized very early on that people had to be able to find you. And you had to really build a presence online, build a strong personal brand. And timing, people aren't moving warehouses, every week, right? So you really have to be out there, be top of mind when they are ready, in addition to everything else. And so I started, prior to that, I didn't have a social media following. I wasn't active like that. I didn't really have a public personal brand per se. So I started building that on social media. And then one day I just had the idea to start a podcast because I had so many conversations with other founders, other entrepreneurs that were on the same journey. And that's really where I got the most value and I learned the most, is talking to other people doing the same thing. And then I had the idea one day, is like, if you started a podcast and put these conversations out publicly, other entrepreneurs could benefit, the guests would get exposure, you would get exposure. So it really seemed like a win-win. And at the time, I didn't know anything about podcasting. I literally just had the idea. And, I have a small boutique marketing firm that helps us with our social media and whatnot. And I asked them, I said, hey, what do you think? And they said, yeah, that's a great idea. We can get started easily, low budget, and just get it going. And that's what we did. So, literally just took action, named it. I put out an announcement that it was coming. I had people say they wanted to be on it. I started doing interviews and just literally figuring it out as I went. And that was just over a year ago. And we've published at this point, I think 94 episodes. And so we publish twice a week now. It's on YouTube and everywhere else podcasts are heard. And we're actually now too, we're ranked by Listen Notes in the top 5% of all podcasts globally.
No, congratulations.
Yeah. So so that's just a testament, right, to messy, imperfect action. Even if you don't have it figured out, if you just start and stay consistent and keep going, good things are going to happen.
I can vouch for that 1000%. Like the podcasting as well as the getting yourself out there, just starting, right? Because most people, they're scared. They wait until the perfect timing, and then you miss the boat, and then and then they're older, they just don't start, and then 5 years, fast forward 5 years, and they look back, oh, I wish I would have started like 5 years ago, right? So thank you for that, Dave. Okay, now my next question: the power of personal branding. You mentioned a little bit about this just now, but then I guess this will hit the nail in the head. I hope. How did you leverage personal branding to build trust and credibility in the 3PL industry, especially with no prior experience?
Well, people do business with people, right? And they're interested in people. So, that's one thing I noticed too, is so many companies within our 3PL industry. Just to give an example, there's 10,000 plus 3PLs within the United States alone, right? That's a lot. But so many of them operate as faceless, nameless companies, to where you might see a website, you might see where they're located, and with the name of it, but do you really know who the founder is or anyone there? And when an e-commerce brand decides to engage a 3PL, they're trusting you with their inventory. Oftentimes that's their entire livelihood, right? Everything's invested in their business. Right. So I noticed early on too, people want to do, just like sales in general, right? People buy from you because they like you, they trust you, and they understand how your product or service is going to benefit them. So I realized very early on, like you have to, especially as us, right? A new company coming into a crowded industry from another industry where we're not so experienced in this lane. You have to be out there. People have to know who you are. People have to see that you're visible. So that's what we did. And, with the social media stuff and the podcast and our Google search, all those things. And then, I've been guests on numerous podcasts as well. So all those things play together to help our search rankings. And we do very well against other larger established competitors in our area strictly on that. And then, I've had people say too, right? Like customers that they saw me originally on YouTube. They saw my content and they wanted to talk to me further. So it's really, in essence, like a digital handshake to where people can kind of get to know who you are, what you're about, and see who you are prior to ever meeting you, speaking to you, um, just by your online presence, and goes a long way towards building trust. Because if they see me posting videos every day and I'm always interviewing other successful entrepreneurs, compare that to someone else where you don't know who the founder is, you don't know anything about the company. If there's a problem, they're going to feel a lot more confident that they can find me, and then I'm not just going to, disappear because I'm out here constantly posting content.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you for that, Dave. Okay. What does your day-to-day look like? Like now you've got this new business and you've got your podcast. So how busy are you? This is me being curious.
Hi, I'm Nick Nieras, your host of the Your Wordless podcast. Now, if these real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait. Your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
Oh boy, extremely busy. So yeah, I usually I get in the office very early, around this time after I drop my kids off at school. And then my day, we have a team huddle every morning where we go over, top priorities for the day, constantly have calls booked in terms of sales calls, networking calls, other vendor relationships, sometimes customer calls. And then the podcast, I'm always recording new episodes, and then various members of our team, whether it's the marketing or other, consultants or whatever it may be. Oftentimes I have a lot on my calendar, and then, I have a pipeline too that I'm continually working with in terms of, prospects or other people that potentially could be customers, as well as just responding to any issues that may come up during the day regarding the business. And, there's all kinds of stuff, right? The issues are always popping up. So, and I try to always I try to respond fast and deal with any issues that I need to, whether it's me or someone on my team that needs to deal with something. So it's just, it's a whole lot of all of that, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's very much so. Now, I think this flows nicely to my next question. How has consistency played a role in your success, both in business and in podcasting? And what strategies you use to stay consistent?
Well, yeah, consistency is probably the foundation of success, I guess, if you could put one trait there in terms of, the more you do something, the better you're going to get. So, I would just say when we first started with the 3PL, right, I didn't know anything about the industry, and I had to do a lot of learning on the fly, but a lot of it was uncomfortable. But, I had a strong sales background, so I always had confidence in that skill set. But again, I had to really get out there and do a lot of things that were uncomfortable. But the more I did it, the better I got. I started to understand the various aspects of how the industry operates, and you try things, you make mistakes. Maybe you bring on customers that aren't the right fit. Okay, that's a learning experience. Maybe you approach a situation one way, it doesn't work out. You learn from that and you do it better the next time. So, we had a vision of what we want this to be, and it's just a matter of going to work every day and making progress towards that, and realizing mistakes are going to happen, challenges are going to arise, you're going to have setbacks, but it's always focusing on that vision and getting up anytime you fall down and continuing to move forward. And that same thing with the podcast, right? I was so nervous and so scared, right?
We all were.
Yeah,
My
but
God, I remember my first podcast.
Yeah, right. But it's like, I just knew inside, like, I have to do this. And then, like, once I did the first interview, I was like, why? And it went very well. And I got good feedback, even from just a few people, right? I said, wow, that was better than I thought it would be. And I think I can do this. And then I did it again and again and again.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah. And so listen, my personality, I am very regimented. I like structure. I like routine. So it might be easier for me than maybe someone else to stay consistent. But I just lean into that, and I'm always trying to get better at whatever I'm doing. And I committed to the podcast. I committed to this business. So every day I'm working on those things to improve and get better.
Very commendable and very inspirational. Thank you. I needed that today as well for myself and for my business, my small practice. Okay. And the next question I think I did talk about this, taking the need to take action, but instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Now, in your life, Dave, in your business, how do you balance desire for perfection with the need to take action? And what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are afraid to take the first step? Okay. The first part, how do you balance first? Yeah.
Well, so perfection is a myth, right? Like,
That's correct.
It's like in your mind, you always want it to be perfect, but in reality, it's not going to be perfect.
No.
And I find too, right? Action builds confidence, right? So if you're not confident in something, that you need to take action and get better. And, and it's just like anything else. When you do something for the first time, you're not going to be good at it. You're going to make some mistakes, but then you realize, I did this, I should have did that. Okay, I can do it better the next time, right? So I really, and I feel like I've gotten better at this over the last several years, but I just try to default to action, where if I have a desire to do something and I want to achieve something, I don't know exactly how or what, I just do something. I start and I take action, and then take another action, and then get feedback and improve and do it again. And I guess that the advice I would give is, when you feel that fear, if you have a desire, but there's that fear there, that's the signal that you need to step on the gas and just go and act. Yeah, because that action will cure the fear, and then you won't be as afraid or afraid at all the next time. And you just continue to do it and do it and do it again, and get better as you go.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. What are your top tips for building a strong online presence and attracting a loyal audience?
Well, I always say, whether in sales or especially with the social media stuff too, you got to lead with value, right? You got to, why would somebody want to listen to this or want to read, if you're writing, want to read this or want to engage with your content? So, I mean, that's like with the podcast, for instance, we always try to, spotlight an entrepreneurial journey and what this person went through, how they built their business, why they did it, what obstacles they overcame, pivots they had to make, and that's oftentimes valuable for entrepreneurs, because, and even if you're not in that industry, because I interview a diverse range of industries, and like an entrepreneur, right, they'll learn from anything. Right? You can look at someone in the finance industry, in the construction industry, in the tech industry, and in whatever industry, and you say, okay, they had this problem and this is how it looked, and then they decided to do this and this worked out. And you can take an entrepreneur in a very different industry, but they'll look at that and then they can say, wow, okay, how can I apply that mindset, that strategy, that way of solving a problem to my own industry? Like that happens all the time. So with the podcast, I just try to always spotlight business owners and how they solve their challenges and what they did to become successful. And then other people can get value from that. And, same thing with any LinkedIn stuff I do or wherever else it might be. I just try to offer value to the audience and really make it worthwhile for someone to engage with your content. And the other thing too, right? And I don't know who originally said this. I mean, this phrase has been out there, but it's like so true. You're not making this for everybody. You're making this for somebody.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to make it
for the masses. Yeah. Just focus on that audience.
Yeah, true to what's in your heart, and the right people are going to find that and engage with that content. So I always try to keep those things in mind when I'm doing my content.
Wow, what a great reminder. And this is what I love what I do, because it's like talking to different people. It's like therapy and coaching at the same time. So thank you for that, Dave. Okay. How to use social media to connect with your audience and promote your business and podcast.
Well, yeah, I mean, social media is really one of probably our main lead source too, is because, my stuff's on all the platforms, but the one I mainly spend time on myself is LinkedIn. And I like the way it's structured, and it's business focused, and you're dealing with professional, positive people that really, have goals and want to, want to collaborate with
Engage
other,
the right. Yeah.
like-minded people. Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
yeah. So I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and YouTube is where the podcast is, and then Apple and all the other platforms. But yeah, I just try to I do put content out every day, and just trying to offer value to like-minded people. I also too, right? Like, how, and you see this, I'm sure, on LinkedIn, to where some people, like, every post is like a sales pitch,
Yes.
right? So I try to make most of my stuff, because again, right, people see I have a business, they know what I do just from my profile. If they want to learn more, I'm happy to engage. But I try to go the other way in terms of every post doesn't have to be a sales pitch. Like, once in a while, I'll do like the salesy type of post, but most of the time it's just trying to create some type of value. So when people are seeing it, they can get something from it. And again, right, we've gotten plenty of direct leads and customers that way, but it's like, I don't think you have to always be trying to sell something on every pitch. More so just being yourself and creating content that other people will find valuable. And when the time is right for those customers to reach out, like they'll find you. Like that's how I approach it, at least. And it's worked out for us.
Okay. What are you working on, Cart?
Becoming a podcast host was a natural extension of my second act. And after spending 15 years in the corporate world, I've transitioned to helping individuals overcome challenges like navigating tough relationships, career burnout, and aligning their mission with their soul's calling. By certifying as an RTT hypnotherapist and a lifestyle coach, I've made it my mission to empower people to recreate the life they deserve and building a supportive community through my podcast. Now, let me ask, are you facing challenges like struggling to reprogram your mind to attract wealth, weight issues that feel like a constant yo-yo, insomnia or restless nights from daily worries, or just a lack of confidence in public speaking? If the answer is yes, visit www.thenicknyarasholisticlifestyle.com and grab a free hypnosis audio of these common struggles. It's a sneak peek into how my coaching works. Are you feeling shy? Don't be, because I'm as real as it gets. Let's connect on Instagram and LinkedIn and start your transformation today.
Oh, what am I working on currently? So yeah, the podcast is super busy. I've got.
I can feel that.
Yeah, so we're coming up. Yeah, we're coming up on episode 100, which is a big deal, and
Woo!
I've got a lot scheduled, and so we're just in the process of making different adjustments, doing different experimenting with, just different aspects, titles, thumbnails, other advertising. Can't really talk about it because it's just really a concept, but I'm potentially doing something much bigger with a newsletter and really kind of evolving how we create value for the audience. It's not, it's very early stages planning, but hopefully we'll have something out in the next month or so with more detail on that. So that's a big deal. And then, with the 3PL, we're continually growing. We're trying to execute as best we can in Q4 for all of our current customers, and it's a very busy time for all of them. And then we've got a lot of conversations going on with new brands that are potentially going to be moving in January. So be between all that, and then I've got a bunch of kids at home, and it's I got 3 boys in basketball, so it's basketball season. So I'm going to a bunch of games all the time with that, and so a lot of family stuff going on too. So just all those things together is kind of what my day-to-day looks like.
Right. And how do you balance that?
Well, you gotta, I mean, it's not a simple answer, right? You always have to prioritize what's most important at the time. So, and again, right, I have just an incredible wife that does so much for our family at home and while I'm working and doing all that. And so we work together as whatever needs to be done for the kids or for the house. And then, yeah, with the business, right, just always have a plan for the day, always try to operate efficiently and finding a way to get things done. Even like today, right? We're on completely different time zones, but I said, right, you gave me your best option and I made it work for my schedule and we got it done. So always trying to meet people where they're at and find ways to accomplish the objective. And and just taking action every day and getting better and just believing in all these different things. And again, right, we've been in this business a little over 2 years. We've got some traction and some growth. So we believe in what we're doing. Same thing with podcasts. Been doing it over a year, almost 100 episodes. So we've got traction there. Yeah. So just, I guess the balance for me is like, I love what I do and I love the family stuff. Regardless of what I'm doing at the time, I find joy in it. And I just try to do my best wherever I am and be present for what I'm doing at the time.
But I got nothing to add to that. You just said everything right there. Hit the nail on the head. Okay. Dave, we're going to pivot to a self-worth question. Okay. This is,
okay.
I asked this to all of my guests and each one of them is different question. And the question for you, how can someone balance the pursuit of external validation with the need for internal self-acceptance and self-worth?
That's deep.
Yeah, I tend to go deep with and I started to put you on the spot here. So
no, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like external validation, the older you get, right? So I'm 45, right? Just to give you some perspective. But I find, right, the older I get, the less I care about external validation, right? And it's like, I mean, clearly, right, we're building a company and I'm building a podcast, so I need to be known by externally, but at the same time, like, feel like it all starts with the internal. So of course, right, self-love is essential. Self-worth, like you said, right? Just the title of this podcast, you're worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of
You're very soul.
You're very soul. Yeah, like we all have worth, right? We're all God's children. So it starts with self-love, self-acceptance. And then when you have that too, right? I think the next step is we all have gifts, talents, abilities, and we all have something that we're put here to do. And right, sometimes that's not always easy to find, especially as you're growing up and you're getting started in your career or whatever you choose to be doing. But I think it's important for everyone to find what they're meant to do and do it. And when that happens, right, you're going to know internally that you're on the right track and you're going to have such a peace about it, even if the external stuff, right, might not look the way you want it to at the time or at the moment. But oftentimes, if you're on your purpose and you're doing what you're using your gifts the way they're meant to be used, you're going to feel at peace about that. You're going to feel good about that. And those emotions are signal that, you're on the right tracks, right? I try to always just be very attuned to, am I on purpose and am I, doing what I'm meant to be doing? And if I am, then yeah, I feel good about it. And even if things may take time or the success you want doesn't happen overnight, you can see the progress. You can know that other people are getting value. You see the positive feedback, and that those are all signals that you're on the right track and to keep going.
Thank you. Find your joy. Follow it. What's the mantra? If you're playing, then it's not work. Something along those lines.
Yeah. Like if you do what you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Yeah, that's that one. Okay, Dave, what is your heart's greatest wish?
What is my heart's greatest wish? Boy, gee, that's
Deep
super
again.
deep. Yeah.
Yeah, we're ending it. So we're ending it with a bang.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, I'm living my dream in terms of, I'm happily married. I have 6 kids, right? They're all doing very well, and they're all following, and finding themselves and following their joy. And then I get to build this company and be the face of it and grow it and sell, which is something I love to do. And then I have this podcast, which I always, even growing up, I always like to study successful people and find out about other people's journey. And now I get to interview successful people as part of my work. And I've talked to some phenomenal people, and it's created excellent relationships. So yeah, I'm happy, and I love what I'm doing, and I see a lot of potential and growth. And yeah, so that like every day is a joy for me. So yeah, and I guess, right, I want to keep doing that, keep building, keep setting a good example as best I can for anyone around me, and help inspire others too to follow what's in their heart and continue to create value and do good in the world, I guess.
And you're doing great work. I can tell you that. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
Do I have a mantra that I live by?
Mm-hmm.
I guess not. I guess I don't have like a ready to go mantra.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, right. One that's just popped in my head too is like, I guess, and again, this is so cliche, but it's like, if it's to be, it's up to me. Right. So again, right, whatever you're wanting to create or build or have or do, like, it all starts with you taking action. And it doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out, but all of us, right, are going to have impulses, ideas, desires to do things in the world. And I think so often fear gets in the way of that, and our survival mind kind of can get in the way of what's in our heart. So I guess my mantra would just be, again, take action. If you want to do something and you want to create something, then act and do something. And through that process, if you continue to do that, you'll make progress and you'll find where you're supposed to go.
If you could create a quote right now for you to leave the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
Oh boy, I have to create a quote for my legacy right here on the spot. Nicolette. Wow.
Yeah, Dave Gulas, 2024.
Oh boy. Yeah, again, right, if there's something in your heart that you want to do, then go for it and take action and do it. And even if you don't have it all figured out, if you start and you keep going, you'll figure it out as you go. So I would just say, get started, keep going, and believe in what's in your heart.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Dave. How can people reach out to you?
Okay, so LinkedIn's probably the easiest place, Dave Gulas, or you can go to davegulas.com, and there's links to everything I do with the podcast, with the 3PL, and I'm easy to find online.
Awesome. And there you have it, everyone. You've just heard an inspiring journey and incredible wisdom. Thank you for sharing the work you're doing to uplift others and make a lasting impact. Despite the challenges, Dave, you're paving the way for others, and your dedication is a true testament to resilience and purpose. And for our listeners, this has been another thought-provoking episode of You're Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you've ever felt worthless, know this, you're not alone. But here's the deeper truth. If you were truly worthless, why would your soul choose to be here in this exact moment, in this lifetime? Your soul traveled from the infinite, not just to exist, but to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. And with that, I'd like to thank Dave Gulas for joining us today, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I'm Nick Nieras, your host. Keep shining, keep growing, and remember, you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Dave, for your time.
Thank you, Nicolette.